The University of Virginia today, asking students what they think when they find out that President Trump's net worth has increased 30-fold since running for political office. And what will students think when they actually figure out that all of this was President Barack Obama and that President Trump's net worth has actually been cut in half? Let's see what they have to say. In the news, it's come out that Trump's net worth has actually increased by, 30 times more than it was before he entered office. Do you see that as a problem?
I definitely do. I don't think that an executive office should be used for like personal business gains.
Mm-hmm. Trump's using a lot of his businesses in like Saudi Arabia and like other countries to, increase his profits as president. I mean, that's a huge problem because like once you're president, you have a lot of powers and you can take advantage of that stuff.
Well, yeah, he's supposed to serve the country, not profit off it. So it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I feel like people who have that much money, there's always a way that they get it that's going to be something that we don't like. So,
like, you're supposed to, when you take the role as a president, you're not supposed to try to benefit or make business deal, in order for you to gain money.
President Trump's net worth has increased 30-fold since entering office. Do you think that's a problem?
Probably a little bit. I don't know anything about it, but I would imagine that probably is.
Honestly, yes, because how can the income gap and like the wealth gap be so large and he is still profiting off of being president, not actually benefiting the country at all?
So insofar as the presidency is a public office and it's ultimately our responsibility as a public to be the primary beneficiaries of said office, I would say it's an issue.
I do think that's an issue. I don't know much about politics, but I don't think that's the president's job. I'm pretty sure of that.
Do you guys think it's okay for a president to make money off of, their time in office?
I think so, because, they're doing a job. Everyone gets paid for doing work, so I think it's fair. It should be. They should be paid.
I just think it's unethical for a president to be able to, actually gain so much from his office and not do much for his country. Yeah.
So you would say it's pretty corrupt?
Yes, very corrupt.
I am not saying Trump is inherently fascist and the administration is fascist. But what I've been seeing is the introductory steps to fascism. He's tried to make the executive branch more a controlling power and even trying to test the judicial limits that he appointed. The chief judge had to tell him to rein it in, and he's the one that was appointed by Trump. His own judges are saying, you need to stop this. He's consistently been going against American values that have been in place for hundreds of years and trying to reimagine how the American government should be. How do you feel about that?
No, I think it's preposterous. Donald Trump is not a fascist. Let me ask you a question. Do fascists protect freedom of speech?
No, and he hasn't.
Well, hold on. No, he actually has, to such a great extent where he says colleges are not getting money if they don't protect freedom of speech. He's defunding colleges if they don't protect freedom of speech. In fact, Donald Trump has gone out of his way to make sure that all Americans have the freedom of speech. All U.S. citizens do. And so an attribute of fascism is also basically quashing political dissent, as you would say, right? Which political party tried to put the opposition leader in prison for 700 years? Was it Donald Trump or Joe Biden that tried to put his rival in jail for 700 years?
Joe Biden. But I
Yeah,
have a
so
rebuttal
would
to
Joe
that.
Biden be a fascist then?
No.
But you just said that's a hallmark definition of fascism, quelching political opposition. I will go a step further. Wasn't the Democrat Party acting fascistic by indicting Donald Trump on all these charges the first time in American history to basically eliminate the MAGA movement?
It wasn't to eliminate the MAGA movement, it was to get to man. Because Trump himself was doing very shady things. He was having hush money trials, which is true. He's a convicted felon. He tried to keep documents.
Well, he's also your president, so you have to say that as well.
Yes, he is my president.
Okay, good. Again, this whole convicted felon thing is like so preposterous and so ridiculous. But again, your definition of fascism is, as you read it, not just so narrow. Donald Trump is the opposite of that. Do fascists want people to own more guns or less guns?
Less guns.
Yeah, so why would Donald Trump now make it easier for people to own guns then?
But that's not the point.
Well, it is
not
a point.
Everything. That's why I said Trump is not a fascist himself, and this is not a fascist
but
administration yet. There are certain aspects that he's doing that is fascist. He's trying to make the centralized power in the executive branch to control everything that's around him.
It's called the unitary executive theory is not fascistic. Again, just looking around every corner and acting like that's fascist, that fascist. It's so destructive to our discourse because he's the opposite of such a fascist.
That's why I haven't said he's a fascist.
No, I understand. I know what you're saying.
Anything.
I would not look at a single thing he's done that is even close to fascistic. It's nationalistic.
Which is a definition of fascism.
Not necessarily. You could be a nationalist communist.
Of fascism.
Not true. The Soviets and the Bolsheviks were nationalist communists. You could be a nationalist and not be a fascist.
But you can argue that the communism that was going on there was not real communism. That's not Marxist's thing. I don't align with communism. But that was more of authoritarian communism.
It was never real communism. That's right.
No, it was not real communism.
We don't agree on this. So what is your then contention?
My contention is that we are approaching a era in America where we are going to be tested. And now we are getting to a point what's almost as modern-day tribalism, which is happening in Africa. I am part Ethiopian. My dad was an immigrant here. He came here legally and did all the steps and all that. But just like in Africa with Ethiopia and their government, Tigray, which is a subsection of Ethiopia, is being slaughtered because of tribalism. They're all part of Ethiopia. Ethiopia used to be 3 countries together: Somalia, Eritrea, and Ethiopia. It's modern-day tribalism. They split because they didn't want to be part of the tribes anymore. And now we're seeing with the political parties so polarized, we don't even want to talk to each other anymore. Which is why I came out here today.
Thank you for that. Just a super interesting hypothetical one about like division and tribalism. Was there a recent time where a Democrat came on campus and just had an open mic where anyone could disagree with them? Are you aware of that kind of an event?
No. This is like one of the first events I've seen.
No, thank you. So the point is it the MAGA movement, like myself, or Democrats that are inviting discourse and speech to try to find common ground?
If Trump rescued a child from the sharks, these liberals would criticize him for starving the sharks, ladies and gentlemen. I can guarantee that. And it's crazy. It is crazy. And it's like these days, it's almost as if all these students, all these kids, they are not longer being taught how to think for themselves. Instead, they are being programmed to believe certain things without questioning. It's almost as if they're acting like robots, just following instructions. And do you even remember that tax return stuff? There's this quote whereby one guy said, I don't understand how people would demand the tax returns of a rich man who became a politician, because I would rather be interested in the finances of a politician who became a rich man. Yeah, absolutely. And it's sad to say that in this day and age, some of the least intelligent people, they are actually college graduates, college educated. Can you imagine? And I can assure you that, but it wasn't so a few years ago. It wasn't. So much has changed. And do you know what it is? Brainwashing. That's the virus, ladies and gentlemen. It's called brainwashing.
Well, I feel that you yourself, Charlie, is a person that invites criticism and stuff like that.
Thank you for that.
This type of stuff I like. Trump doesn't do that. He doesn't see debate. He more just says.
I would push back, though. It's Donald Trump who will sit in the Oval Office and take questions uninterrupted for 45 minutes when Joe Biden, couldn't even answer a single question. I know that you're not, supporting Joe Biden. But back to your original contention. I need to forcefully push back on this because there is nothing fascistic about deporting people in your country that are here illegally, securing your borders, and putting your own people first. You're right. We are being tested. I think we're being tested in a different way. We're being tested at whether or not, when the American people overwhelmingly vote for something, are they going to get it? And right now, a group of unelected judges and unelected bureaucracy is trying to stop the will of the popular vote of the American people, which I think is way more dangerous than the boogeyman of fascism in our country right now.
Well, I would say that's not really a boogeyman of fascism. It's just fascistic tendencies that are seeming to get more and more consistent with how Trump wants to run his government. And as for the judges, It's checks and balances. They're there to make sure that, hey, let me check this out real quick and go through all the documents our forefathers have written.
No. The founding fathers never gave district court judges nationwide injunction power. This is a new thing over the last 50 years. That's fine. We're not going to agree on a lot, but I will say this, that the criticisms that we are the fascists are laughable. Because let me just ask you, and this is just more broadly, and I understand this is not to Trump. How many of you students out there feel as if you'd be graded differently if you come out as a conservative or a Trump supporter? Raise your hand. Look around. Every hand goes up. And so that is the cultural left on Michigan State's campus that will use power to punish a student with their grades because they have different views. That's fascism. That is definitional fascism. And I'm not saying you're defending that.
Hold up.
But I want to make sure you're consistent that there are fascistic tendencies more so on the left than anywhere on the right.
Then I want to say this. I am from Texas. We're southern as it gets, conservative as it gets. No matter how many times my city of Dallas goes blue, Fort Worth goes blue, Houston goes blue, we're always going to be red, and I've accepted that. And I don't mind that. But also the same...
God bless Texas. Okay.
God bless Texas. The same thing that happens here happens at campuses over in Texas. Not UT, because that's Austin.
No, for sure. The campuses are islands of totalitarianism. That's my point, is that campuses, because they're so homogeneously to the left, that even if you go to Alabama, the same thing happens. It's not a red state or blue state issue. It's that these campuses are super, super far to the left as a posture of just ideological diversity.
I don't believe that. Texas A&M, I have several friends that go there. They're all some of my best friends from high school. Very conservative. I see stuff they post on time all the time.
First of all,
it's not exactly...
Come on, man.
This school's board. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. I got to get to the next question. But 98% of all college professors gave to Kamala Harris. 98% that gave to Kamala Harris. And I don't need to ask the audience because we know it's true. Would you guys say that most professors are conservative or liberal here? Would you say they're liberal?
Professors, not the people in power. The school board.
The administration.
Yeah, the administration of the school is what makes the decision. We have a student body here that makes resolutions and says things to the student board. They never listen.
Doesn't the governor appoint the board of regents in Michigan? Is it elected? Okay. Well, then I don't know what the balance is in Michigan.
Exactly. It's elected here. So someone can run on a completely random issue. Like, I remember someone ran because they wanted to reinstate the swim team. There's no swim team here.
Okay.
It's stuff like that. They get elected.
But maybe we should bring back the swim team. Is that fascism? I don't know. So.
But they get elected and then they don't do stuff that's consecutive to the university. They more try to silence stuff. There's a bunch of stuff that's happened on this campus that many people may not know, and they send ambiguous emails and stuff. It's stuff like that. It's not just this university.
No, that's not my
every
contention.
University has its own type of atmosphere.
My takeaway for you is if you're going to try to be pattern recognition with Trump for fascism, look at the American left and do the same. Try to say, huh? Because, for example, I mean, something that I think is inherently fascistic and disgusting is when Tim Walz is out there cheering for Tesla's stock price to go down. I mean, it's awful, right? I mean, who does something like that? You disagree with a company and you want to see a bunch of people go out of work?
The same way Trump promoted Teslas by having them on the lawn?
Yeah, what's wrong with that? That's more American jobs, more American labor. No, it's the opposite.
That's promoting the stock because people are going to see people in the MAGA movement love Trump and want to do stuff that's like him. It's psychology.
One is good for America, more American jobs, more American labor. Tim Walz is cheering for a factory to close. He's cheering for people to go out of work.
Whoever has ears, let them hear. But still, they refuse to listen. They refuse to listen. That's why you can't put much trust in a college education anymore. No, just because someone has a degree, it doesn't mean that they were taught to think for themselves. No, or even that they understand the real world is no longer a guarantee, because in many cases, it's as if they have been only taught to repeat the things they were told. That's the only thing that they know how to do. And these are the future leaders of America. Ladies and gentlemen, it's worrying because someone once said, if you stand for nothing, you will fall for anything. You will fall for anything. In other words, if they don't have strong values or beliefs of their own, they will end up blindly following whatever trends or whatever ideas that come their way, even if it's harmful. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Ladies and gentlemen, the level of ignorance among our college students, it's absolutely shocking. It's absolutely shocking. It's not just that they don't know certain facts, but it's the confidence that they have in being wrong. Can you imagine? And the way they discuss and they dismiss other viewpoints without even really thinking for themselves. It's crazy, it's loud, it's obvious, and it's honestly hard to ignore. It's honestly hard to ignore. Many left-wing teachers, they don't teach facts. They promote their own political views in the classroom. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And since most students, they're still young and still forming their own opinions, they often take in the information without question and start believing it. Even if it's not true, it doesn't matter. They will end up believing what they were taught repeatedly. That's the sad part. And that will be the only way that they will see the world. That's the sad part. Yeah. And I honestly think that one of the biggest challenges nowadays is to finish a college degree without becoming woke. I think it's now strongly difficult to finish a college degree without becoming woke. Yeah, because so many classes and campus activities, they are filled with political messaging, and it feels like you are constantly being pushed to adopt certain beliefs. Yeah. And it can be really hard just to focus on learning. Yeah. And keep your own values without giving in to the pressure. It's crazy. It's crazy. But ladies and gentlemen, if we truly want to experience a happily ever after in our lives, whether that means peace, purpose, or lasting joy, we have got to start turning to God for help. It's high time we start turning to God for help, because we can't do it on our own. It's not possible. It's not possible. And life is too challenging, too unpredictable. We need His guidance. We need His strength. We need His wisdom to lead us in the right direction and help us build something real and something lasting. Absolutely. Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. And it's always my deepest desire and hope that these students will turn their lives to God, who feels all in all, casting their burdens to Him, for He cares and He loves us so much. He loves us so much. My hope is that they will find meaning, purpose, and fulfillment in their lives and lead a peaceable life full of joy, meaning, purpose all the days of their lives. Yeah. Well, folks, if you enjoyed that one, be sure to click on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and to comment. See you next time. Bye bye for now.